It's Motivation Monday, a new week. A fresh start and another opportunity to level up. This is your moment to reset your mindset, refocus your energy, and realign with your purpose. Whatever didn't work last week, that's done. Today you move differently, stronger, smarter, more disciplined, because growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pressure, consistency, and showing up when it's hard. No excuses, no distractions, just elevation. The grind starts now, the discipline kicks in today. And the results, that's on you. Every move you make this week is building something bigger. So set the tone today, or spend the rest of the week trying to catch up. Because every Monday is a chance to rewrite your story, to step into a new version of yourself. This isn't just another week. This is your rebirth, Motivation Monday, powered by the Final Boss.
Welcome to Motivation Monday. It's Motivation Monday, man. It's episode number 222. 222, baby. It's Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday. And you know what that means, man? That means we get ready to get on board the what? The fired up train, man. If you haven't already gotten the Go Time All Aboard the Fired Up Train, Amazon bestseller, go get it. If you haven't gotten it yet, man, go get your copy. Where all books are sold. Man. Go Time All Aboard the Fired Up Train. Y'all hear the train in the background, man. It is Motivation Monday. And let me tell you, man, we got a great show for you tonight. Man. Listen. Like I said before, this is episode number 222. And to each and every last single one of you that is joining us tonight, man, thank you for all of you guys being here. I see you coming in. I really appreciate you being here. And no matter where you're watching from, right? Understand this. This is for entertainment purposes only, baby. Entertainment purposes only. And no matter where you're watching from, if you're watching from StreamYard, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Instagram, or Spotify, for all your listening pleasures, thank you for joining us, man. We gotta look, man. Tonight, right? Tonight. Whew, boy, man. Tonight, man. You know, this season 4, arc 3 is rough. It is a rough season, and it is pulling on every facet of emotion that I have, man. And look, this is a rough episode, so buckle in your seatbelts. Dorothy, this is Dorothy and David, whoever you are, it's rough. And tonight, we are going in. Tonight's episode, the war is over, but nobody told your body. Right? Now, that is the title of tonight's discussion, right? The title of tonight's discussion. Where my people at? My people, show yourselves in the chat. Let me know that you're here and you are present and accounted for, right? I would do a roll call, but it's a lot of you coming in, man. So, but let yourself be known, man. Let yourself be known in the chat, right? Before we get started, I want to go ahead and let you guys, do the brass tacks of the evening, right? I want to do the brass tacks of the evening and get it out the way. So, tonight's brass tacks is this. Surviving was the test. Living is the assignment. Stop turning in yesterday's homework, right? I want to say that again. Surviving was the test. Living is the assignment. Stop turning in yesterday's homework. That is the brass tacks, and it comes from none other than yours truly, right? Let me get rid of these banners. Yes. And you know what? take your offer on those champagne glasses. I definitely need a glass right now. Man, let me tell you, I need a glass. Nerves are on edge. Nerves are on edge, man. I'm at full capacity. And um, you know, that's things happen. Things happen in life, man, that you don't have control over. And then there's things that happen that you do have control over. But at the same time, where are the answers? Where are the answers, right? So we're gonna work tonight and talk about some of those answers, right? But before we get started, look, I'm gonna tell you this much, man. The fire department trainers in the building. The fire department trainers in the building. Mm, mm. And you made it out. You made it out. That is not the same thing as making it home. You walked out of that fire. You walked out of that storm, right? And then you set up something, right? You set up your and this is for my warriors and some of my final bosses. You set up a cot, if y'all are all familiar with what a cot is, right? You set up the cot in the ashes. You called it a house. You hung pictures on the smoke. And tonight we're gonna name it. We dragging it out into the light. And we walk out for real, right? This is Act 3. The mask drops. So pull up. The fired up train is already in motion, and we're already in our seats, man. We are already in our seats. So let's go ahead and get started. So listen to me. Listen. You didn't claw your way out of whatever tried to bury you, so you could build a shrine to it, right? You did not survive the fire so you could live in the smoke. And yet here you are, still ducking and weaving, dipping and diving, dodging, right? You're still scanning all the rooms. You're still bracing for impact that stopped coming years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, that, my friends, is trauma. It's trauma. And some of it is a symptom of PTSD, right? To my warriors, right? You know what that is. That is survival mode. And it is the most expensive zip code in America because the rent is your entire life, right? Look, I've been digging foxholes for a long time, real ones. Sand in my hair, sand in my eyes, sand in my teeth, weapon across my chest, heart beating against body armor like it was trying to get out. OEF 3, 4 in Iraq. I was also at the Pentagon on 9/11. I felt the building shake. I smelled what I smelled. I carried what I carried. So when I tell you I know what survivor mode looks like, I'm not reading it on a pamphlet. I'm reading it off of my very own nervous system. And here's what they don't tell you in the debrief, right? When the war ends, your body doesn't know, right? Your body doesn't know. Think about that for a second, right? Think about that for a second. Your body does not know, right? Sit with it. When the war ends, your body does not know, right? Sit with it, right? I want you to understand something. right? If you're a family member and you have family that has been to war, you have family that has seen some things in combat, in theater, or after a terrorist attack. I need you to be more empathetic, right? I need that from you guys because when the war ends, our bodies don't know. I was explaining something to somebody the other day that, you know, when our when we're in those situations, whether it's surviving a terrorist attack or surviving combat and theater or deployments, or some of our rescue workers, or some of our law enforcement officials and individuals. These are high, high energy positions, right? And it requires a lot. And you're here, and then when it's over, everyone expects you to return to here, to the normalcy. But you've been operating from this high level for such a long time, trying to adjust back to the normalcy can almost feel impossible to some, right? Almost feels impossible. Think about it. Sit with it. The war ends. The body does not know, right? And because your body does not know, your choices keep serving an emergency that is no longer happening. You pick partners who feel like the threat because the threat feels like home. You take jobs that drain you because peace feels like a trap. You self sabotage right before the breakthrough because winning feels unfamiliar and unfamiliar feels unsafe. Your nervous system is loyal. It is loyal to the version of you that walked out alive. That loyalty is keeping you broke, keeping you single, keeping you sick, keeping you small. And tonight we're going to break away from that loyalty. And when I say this episode is for me as well. I did this for all of us who've been there, right? All of us who haven't adjusted, all of us who are still going through what we're going through, right? We're going to break that loyalty, but not with affirmations, not with hashtags, with surgical precision, because that's what we do, right? We cut out the parts of you still running the old mission and we install the operator that belongs to the person you're about to become. Because survival was the first step, it was never the destination. The fire was supposed to refine you, not define you. The ashes are not your address, they are the starting line. So sit up, both feet flat on the floor, one deep breath, and let's walk through this, right? Let's walk through what is actually happening inside you. What is happening and exactly how you walk out of it this week. Not next year. We're talking about it this week. The fired up train is pulling out of the station. Either you're on it or you're watching it leave while you still are in the foxhole, right? Act 3, episode 222. Let's work. Let's go, right? So, for all of those who are just now joining us, this is your first time, welcome to The Final Boss, right? I'm your host, the one and only, The Final Boss, right? And you guys are the sovereign, the smarts, the warriors, the motivators. I'm sorry. The smarts, the warriors, the motivators, the final bosses. You're the sovereign, right? You are the sovereign. I explained some things to you guys about me, right? Combat veteran, right? CEO, right? Starting my doctoral research very soon in dissertation, right? This summer. But I'm not telling you that, guys, for credentials, and I have plenty of those, right? I tell you so you know the voice that's on this mic has walked through the fire, earned the letters, the awards, and still willing to bleed just for you, right? 5 days a week, and especially on Mondays, right? This is Motivation Monday, Season 4, Act 3, Episode number 222, right? Act 1 was the setup. Act 2 was the reckoning. Act 3 is where we stop performing and start operating. We've been walking around in borrowed armor long enough. Tonight, we take it all off. You're going to feel lighter and more exposed at the same damn time, which is good. That's how you know it's working. And here's the thesis for the next couple of minutes, right? And thank you for being here, right? Listen, trauma is what happened to you. Survival mode is what you became because of it. And neither one goes and gets the last word on your life tonight. Survival bought you time, right? What you do with the time is the whole question. You could spend it rehearsing the worst day of your life, or you could spend it building the best decade of it. You can't do both. They require different nervous systems, different friend groups, different money habits, and a different version of you, right? And to my smarts, you are the intellect, the ones who study the pattern. And tonight, I'm handing you the framework to pattern match your own life. Stop analyzing everybody else. Turn the microscope around, right? And look at yourself. And to my final bosses, you are the builders, the empire builders, right? Tonight, I'm handing you the blueprint for rebuilding the interior, because the tower only goes as high as the foundation is deep. We talked about foundations yesterday. Your extension game is incredible. Your interior needs the same rigor. And to my motivators, you are the touch bearers, right? The ones who light the room for everyone else. Tonight, I'm settling and refilling your oil, right? Because you cannot light anybody else from an empty lamp. And some of you are running on fumes, pretending it is fuel, right? And to my warriors, you are my people in the trenches. We've been there. The ones who speak the language of survival because you spent it fluently, right? Tonight, we translate that language into the next level. Warriors do not just survive, and we're done surviving. Warriors secure the ground and build on it. And the good news is this: the version of you that can do this work is already inside you. He is already in there, right? Waiting. The old version is loud because the old version was keeping you alive. Respect that point. Thank it, right? And then relieve it of its duty. Tonight is the changing of the guard. Buckle in. We get ready to go hard, man. We get ready to go hard for this, man. Let me tell you. Allergies. Shout out to the allergies. And the cherry blossoms are crazy right now. Look, let's get precise, right? Because if we can't name it, we can't move it. And if we can't move it, it just keeps moving us, right? And what I'm talking about is trauma. Trauma is not the event. Write that down. Trauma is not the event, right? And say it out loud, right? Trauma is not the event. Trauma is what got left behind in your body after the event was over, right? The event has a date on the calendar. The trauma has no date. It does not know time. It does not know the difference between a year, a month, an hour, or a second. It lives in your breathing pattern, right? It lives in your startle responses, your sleep, your gut, your jaw, right? Your libido, your decision making. And then go ask any combat veteran, ask anybody who grew up in a house where love and conditions and violence had no warning. And they would tell you the same thing. The event ended a long time ago, but the trauma is still paying rent, and it is living rent free in a lot of our heads. And here's what you need to hear. Your mind fled the event under old news. Your body fled it under active threat. And your body outranks your mind every single time. That is why you could talk to yourself, and you could talk to yourself into being fine and still have a panic moment in traffic. That is why you can intellectually know your ex is gone and still flinch when the car door slams outside. That is why you can be 6 figures into success and still wake up at 3 a.m. convinced you are about to lose it all. The body is running in a loop. The loop is protecting you from something that is no longer in the room. Now listen close, because this is where it gets layered, right? Trauma is not just the big stuff. It's not only the combat, the crash, the assault, the funeral. There's also the slow drip, the childhood where nobody ever yelled, but nobody ever saw you either. The parent who was physically there and emotionally gone. The community that told you your value was conditional on your performance. That wiring goes just as deep, right? Sometimes even deeper. Because there is no single event to point at and grieve. It's just the water you swim in, right? And fish don't notice the water like we don't notice the oxygen that we breathe. So here is the working definition for tonight, man, right? Trauma is an experience that overwhelmed your capacity to handle it in a moment and therefore stayed in your body as unfinished business. That unfinished business is what is running you, and it's running your life right now. Quietly, constantly. It is why you react instead of respond. It is why your no comes out small. It is why your yes comes out resentful. It is why your heart is in your throat at family gatherings, in boardrooms, on dates, and quiet Sundays, and all at the same time while nothing is wrong, right? Nothing is wrong, but your body thinks something is wrong. That is the whole problem. And I can tell you this because I live it. I live it every single day. Every single day, right? We got to name that because you cannot walk out of a room you refuse to look at, right? And you did not come this far to keep living in a room you built, right? In 98, in 03, in 07. The year that the bottom dropped out. The room that served that, it served its purpose. The door is now unlocked, and tonight we're walking out. We're going to walk out together, hand in hand, right? We're going to walk out together, hand in hand. So, if trauma is the imprint, survival mode is the operating system that imprint installed, right? This is where most people miss the play. They think healing means remembering the event. And trust me, it doesn't. I've been to all of the therapy and social groups, right? Remembering only triggers what you tried to forget. For some, it may work. It didn't work for me, right? It didn't work. The experts think that healing means remembering, crying about it, and moving on, right? That's only 1/10 of the work. The other 9/10 is this. Survival mode is a set of behaviors, beliefs, and biological defaults that keep you alive during the bad chapter. And that is what's running in the background, even though the bad chapter closed a long time ago. It is still on autopilot. And your autopilot is outdated software. I say all the time, we have to upgrade and update our software, man, including me. Listen, a lot of us have a lot of trauma. We've been living in survival mode, right? We've been living in survival mode, right? And survival mode, as I just explained, is behaviors, beliefs, and biological defaults, right? And here's what survival mode sounds like in your head, right? Survival mode sounds like this. Don't get comfortable. Don't get your hopes up. Don't trust it. If it is good, it is temporary. If they love me, they will leave. If I relax, I lose. How many of you out here have been through or been through or going through or are in a busy phase? A busy phase where you have to stay busy, right? Where you have to stay busy. You don't know how to relax. You feel like if you relax, you lose. How many of us are like that right now? Raise your hand, right? Put your hands up. Drop the hands emojis in the chat if that's you right now, right? Listen, those are not personality traits. Those are survival strategies that worked at one point and have since overstayed their welcome. And here's what survival mode looks like in your own behavior, right? A lot of people hoard. You could be hoarding money. You could be hoarding things. And you can still be broke inside because you won't spend it on yourself. You could be hoarding time and still exhausted because you refuse to delegate, right? Credentials on top of credentials, certifications on top of certifications, degrees on top of degrees, achievements on top of achievements. You keep stacking and you still feel like a fraud. Survival mode does not do enough, right? It doesn't, especially during a crisis. And during the crisis, there was never enough. And here's what survival mode looks like in your body. You're often tired. Even when you sleep, you not sleep. You can't sleep. You're hungry and nothing tastes right. You're in a safe room with people who love you, and your shoulders are still up by your ears. Your baseline is a 7 out of a 10 on a stress scale. And you call that normal. And you've never felt what a 2 feels like. Here's what survival mode looks like in relationships. You pick people you can save because saving people is familiar. Or you pick people who cannot reach you because being reached feels dangerous. You overfunction until you burn out and resent everybody. Or you underfunction until they leave, which confirms the original wound. Either way, the system is doing its job. Its job is to keep you from being surprised again. And being surprised by joy, being surprised by real love, being surprised by your own success, all of that counts as a threat to the system. And to my final bosses, let me be straight with you, right? You are especially exposed here, right? I say this because I'm the final boss. I'm saying this from experience. I have the credentials, the awards, the achievements, the degrees, the accomplishments, all of the businesses, every car I ever wanted, everything. I'm talking from experience. All right? Final bosses. Because final bosses, your survival mode loves to dress up as a work ethic. I gotta laugh at myself sometimes. I do, right? It tells you that you're grinding 18 hours a day is discipline. It's not. The discipline has a start and a stop. Survival mode only has a start. It cannot stop because stopping feels like dying. That is why you cannot take a real vacation. That is why you answer your emails where your attention should be on the ones you love. That is why your body is giving you warning signs and you keep ignoring them. You aren't building an empire right now. You are running from a ghost while holding a hammer. It's time to put the hammer down. It's time to put the hammer down, right? Put it down for a minute and listen to me. Survival mode got us here. It cannot take us further. We can't get into the harvest in survival mode. That's why this episode is essential. The operator that keeps you alive in the war cannot run the piece. Same tool, different phase. It's time to upgrade. Because the new chapter does not need the old software. The new chapter needs somebody who can breathe all the way out, right? It's time to breathe. Time to breathe and release, right? Now, I'm going to tell you why we stay in trap mode, right? And this is something that nobody's going to tell you. And this is something that nobody wants to hear. So, of course, I have to say it. I have to be the loudest person to say it because I'm the final boss. And this is what we do on the Final Boss podcast. We have the most difficult of conversations, right? You stay in survival mode because part of you does not want to leave. I'm going to say that again. You stay in survival mode because part of you does not want to leave. Part of you does not want to leave. Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, because survival mode is giving you something, right? And until you are honest about what it's giving you, you cannot put it down, right? The question is, what is it giving you, right? What is it giving you? Is it giving you identity? Survival mode is more likely giving you an identity that you've built your whole personality around being the one who made it out, the strong one, the one everybody calls at 2 a.m., the one who does not need anybody, the one who figured it out on their own, the one who handles it. That's me, right? Who would you be without that? You have to ask yourself that question. I am asking myself that question. Who would you be if you were not the strong one anymore? If you had to depend on others? It's time to put that title down, right? Because you need to walk out of this room without that title. We need to walk out of that room without that title. A lot of people would rather stay in the pain than find out. I'm tired of the pain. And that's the honest truth that nobody would say. A lot of us are tired of the pain, right? But survival mode is also giving you meaning. The worst day of your life gave you a mission. The near death gave you purpose. The betrayal taught you your worth. The trauma bond to your own lessons. We start thinking if we put the lesson down, we are going to put the meaning down with it. So we keep the wound open so the meaning keeps bleeding. That's backwards. That's backwards, man. That's backwards, and we got to get out of that. The lesson is in you. It is not in the wound. You can close the wound and keep the lesson. The scar is stronger than the original skin. That is not motivational quote. That is how tissue actually works. You handle places that you healed, and you healed in those places, and now you're stronger in those places. But only if you let the healing finish. If you keep picking at a scab, you keep the wound open and you lose the strength. And that was what was forming underneath. Survival mode is also giving you predictability. The nervous system prefers predictable pain, so unpredictable, you can have unpredictable peace. Think about it, right? Your body would choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven every single time unless you train it otherwise. That is why people go back to their exes. That is why people keep the toxic employees around them. That is why people leave the good relationships. That's why a lot of you guys are watching these toxic shows, right? You constantly are feeding yourself the bad news. You're constantly watching the news programs. You're watching the detective shows. the toxic relationship shows, the angry wives shows, right? All because the good feels wrong. The bad feels right. The bad is the one that isn't right, people. But that's what we're familiar. That's what familiarity feels to us, right? And to my motivators, this is you too, right? Don't get caught thinking because you are lighting the room for everybody, you are exempt from this, right? Some of you motivators because you're motivated because staying in other people or saving other people is easier than sitting in the dark with yourself. You are running from your own silence, the platform, the post, the encouragement, the legitimate gift, right? Sometimes a really sophisticated avoidance strategy, right? You need to check the motive under the motive. If you stop posting for 30 days, what would surface? If the answer terrifies you, that is exactly where the work is. The trap of survival mode is that it feels like home. The work of the next chapter is that it makes you homeless for a minute. Between identities, between operating systems, between who you were and who you are about to be. That middle space is uncomfortable. We talk about the middle space, the void, the darkness, right? The quiet, the silence. It's also sacred. You don't need to run from it. That is the doorway to the next chapter, right? That's the doorway to the next chapter. Now, let's count some receipts, right? Let's count some receipts because the shame of the old story is one thing. The bill you're paying for it is another. And the bill is due. Receipt in hand, money in the other, right? Listen, survival mode and real wealth do not share an address. You cannot build real wealth from a scarcity nervous system. You either spend reactively to self-soothe or you hoard obsessively and call it discipline when it's actually fear. You do not invest because investing requires trust in the future. Survival mode does not trust the future. It only believes in the next 48 hours. You leave money on the table at the job because you are scared to negotiate. You're undercharge clients because you are scared they will leave. You do not raise prices because you are scared nobody will pay. Every one of these moves is the old system voting on your bank account, right? And receipt two is your health, right? This receipt is the loudest. Autoimmune stuff, right? Autoimmune stuff, heart issues, blood sugar problems, gut problems, migraines, chronic fatigue, unexplained pain. Your body sends the invoice for what your mind will not process. And your body is patient. It will wait 20 years if it has to. But the bill always comes. And ask around, everybody over 40 knows it. Everybody over 40 knows it, right? And receipt number three, your relationships. Nobody gets close. Nobody gets all of you. You hand people edited versions. The strong part, the competent part, the helpful part. You keep the scared part. You hide it. You keep the tender part, right? You hide that as well. You also keep the unsure part and lock it away. Then you wonder why you feel alone in a crowded room of people that love you. They love the version of you that you're showing them. They cannot love what you will not show. And the hunger for real closeness grows louder the longer you live in that curated version. And then there's receipt number 4, your children, right? Your children. Now say it with me. Your children. Because what you do not heed, or what you do and what you do not heal, you transmit. Not just the stress, the whole operating system. Your kids are watching how you handle setbacks. They are watching whether you apologize. They are watching whether you rest. They are building their nervous system off of yours. If you do not do this work for you, then do it for them, right? You are the ceiling they will break through, or they're going to run into it. And then receipt number 5, your calling, right? The thing you were actually put here to do. Survival mode keeps you busy, but not aligned. Productive, but not purposeful. Successful at things that do not matter to you and absent from the things that do. The dream on your heart is too big for a nervous system stuck in a defense mode. You cannot build a legacy on a foundation of flinch. And to my smarts, to my fighter bosses, to my warriors, to my motivators, all 4 of you need to hear this. You are the sovereign. And the cost of staying in survival mode compounds. Every year you stay in it gets more expensive. Every year you stay, the debt grows. And the bill is not just yours. It's your spouses, it's your kids, it's the unborn grandchildren, it's the community that needed the version of you that was supposed to walk all the way out of that fire. So the question tonight is not, can you afford to do the work? The question is, can you afford not to? You already know the answer, right? You already know the answer. And that's not a pivot, right? That's not a pivot, right? I want you to lean into that. There is a version of you that walked out of the worst chapter of your life. That version stayed with you. We thank that version, right? We bow to that version. Without that version, you're not even here. You're not listening to this podcast on a Monday, right? Making decisions about your next decade. That version earned the gold medal, right? It won the Olympics. And now that version needs to retire. That version needs to retire. Your inner survivor needs a retirement party, right? A pension, a respected send-off, not an eviction, not an execution, a transition. Because survival mode responds to force the way cornered animals respond to force. It doubles down. You cannot bully the survivor out of you. You have to honor what it did and then show it what comes next. What comes next is the builder, right? The builder. The one who is no longer running from something, the one running towards something, the one whose nervous system is allowed to make a full breach. The one who plans for decades, not in 48 hours. The one who can receive. That is the big one, right? Survivors give, builders receive. Right? Builders receive love, compliments, opportunities, help, rest, money, without flinching, without earning it, without bracing for the catch, right? And here's how you know the builder is taking the wheel. Here's the first sign, right? You stop bragging about how little sleep you get. That's the first sign. There's a second sign. You start saying no to things that you would have said yes to out of guilt. And then there's the third sign. Your body stops bracing when good things happen. And then the fourth sign, you catch yourself laughing without checking the exits first, right? Now, I need you to write these questions down that I'm about to tell you, right? And I need you to sit with them all week. And the first question is this: what am I still doing out of fear that I could do out of choice? Right? That's the whole question. Everything else is a footnote. You're about to find out that 70% of your life is being run by decisions you made when you were scared and never updated. You never updated the OS. It's time to update them, right? Then this question, write this one down as well. What does my nervous system think it is protecting me from that is not real? Right? Or a real threat anymore? I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna say that one again. What does my nervous system think it is protecting me from that is not a real threat anymore? The boss who screamed at you, right? The parent who hit you, the ex who cheated on you, the people who, out of their fear for their lives, were shooting at us, trying to blow us up. All right. The building is not going to follow me again. It's time to list the threats. Check the expiration dates. Most of them have expired. And then this question: who am I without the story I've been telling? Right? And that one might hit the hardest because we get real attached to our scars. The scars gave us the story. The story gave us the stage. The stage gave us an audience. And you have to ask, are you willing to walk off the stage for the chance at a bigger life? Some of you aren't. Some of y'all have built a whole career around the wound. The wound is now the brand. And good luck healing that thing that is paying you, right? But for the ones who are ready, who are tired of the loop, who are tired of the return, who are tired of hitting the same ceiling in new outfits, the builder is waiting. And the builder knows how to do something the survivor never could. The builder knows how to live, right? Frameworks do not change lives. Rituals do. You do not think your way out of survival mode. Your body is your way out. And here are the exits. And I need you to use them, right? Exit number 1, the morning 4 count, right? Before your feet hit the floor, before the phone, before the news, before any of that. 4 seconds through the nose. Hold for 4 seconds. Out through the mouth for 6. Repeat 4 times, right? What just happened? You just told every cell in your body that you are not under attack. Before the day gets a vote, 4 minutes, no equipment, no cost, not negotiable. And then exit number 2, the threat audit, right? Once a week, Sunday night, you can do this during sitting down Sundays for 15 minutes. Take a piece of paper, list every single thing you are carrying that feels urgent. Every fear, every obligation, every worry. And then next to each one, write down the date it became a real threat, right? And when the real threat ended. And for the ones where the threat ended and the worry didn't, circle them. Those are your survival residuals. That is not the list of things your body is still fighting that your life already won. Sit with the circled items, breathe them out. Tell your body the war is over for that one, right? And then exit 3, safe contact. Once a week minimum, face to face, voice to voice, skin to skin with a human you trust, not a text, not a DM, a real person. Your nervous system learns safety from the other safety nervous systems. You cannot think your way into safety. You borrow it from somebody else first, right? If you do not have a safe person in your life, that is project number 1. Build that before you build anything else. The empire gets the foundation. Start with a real human, right? And then exit number 4, the movement. The movement for peace and not punishment, right? You already know how to train for war. You already know how to lift heavy. You already know how to run hard, right? You already know how to push past the pain, right? Perfect. Beautiful. Listen, you need to also train for peace. Walking, swimming, yoga, dancing in your kitchen. 30 minutes, 4 days a week at a pace where you can still have a conversation. Your body needs both signals. If you only train for combat, your nervous system never gets the memo that combat is optional. And then exit number 5, right? Sleep protection. The bed is for sleep, not phone, not argument, not worry. 7 to 9 hours in a dark room, cool temperature, no screens 60 minutes before. That is not a suggestion, that is infrastructure. Sleep is when the repair happens. You sabotage your sleep, you sabotage the build. And then exit 6, 3 a day gratitude, right? On paper, not in your head, on paper, right? Be specific, not my family specific. But like how your children say good morning, right? Or how the coffee was perfect. And I love me some coffee, right? Specificities that retrains the eye from retreat scanning to resource scanning, right? You're remaining the instrument. And then exit 7. This is your professional support, your therapies, your coaching, your pastor counsel, right? Pick one, pay the bill, show up weekly. You cannot do this alone. Nobody can. Self-reliance that refuses help is just fear in a cape, right? And to my warriors, these are not new orders. This is the PT plan for the next phase. Reap it daily, report it weekly. Same discipline that kept you alive will now keep you free. Same muscle, new mission, right? Now, if you've been rolling with the Final Boss podcast for any real stretch of time, you know that the Fired Up train is not a slogan. It is a dual acronym methodology for engineering the next version of you. And tonight we pointed right at this problem, right? So we're going to start with fired, right? This is the work you do, right? F is for focus. Survival mode is the definition of the unfocused. It scans, it swivels, it keeps 6 threats and peripheral vision at all times. Building requires the opposite. Single pointed attention, one objective in the center of the screen. Pick one outcome for the next 90 days that will change your whole trajectory. Just one. Everything else is noise until you get that done. And then I is for intensity, right? Not frantic, not panic, intense. Intensity is focused energy at a sustainable heat. Survival intensity burns, right? Builder intensity burns, right? You calibrate by asking, is this coming from fear or from vision? Fear has a shelf life. Vision is renewable. And then there's R. R is for resilience. You already over index right here, right? You don't need more resilience. You need a different type of resilience, right? You need survival resilience that says, I can take a hit. You need builder resilience that says, I can recover from a hit fast enough to keep moving toward the goal. One is passive, the other is active. Upgrade the definition. And then there's E. E is for execution. Survival mode confuses activity with progress. Being busy is not the same as building. Execution is measurable, dated, and linked to outcomes. Tasks that do not ladder up to defined objectives are just anxiety with a to-do list. You need to kill those, right? And then there's D. D is for discipline. Discipline is doing what the builder would do on days the survivor is screaming. Discipline is the bridge between the version of you that is leaving and the version of you that is arriving. Not harness with yourself. Faithfulness to your next self, right? And then the uptrain, right? The uptrain. These are your outputs. This is what you become, right? U is for unyielding, to distraction, not to feedback. That's a different thing. You bend on inputs, you never bend on the mission. And then P is for powerful, powerful in posture and in delivery. A powerful nervous system is one that can be big when it needs to be big and small when it needs to be small. Flexibility is power, rigidity is fear. Wearing power's uniform, right? And then T is for tenacious. T is for tenacious. Tenacious is the pivot. Tenacity does not mean hanging on the same door forever. It means hanging on doors until one opens. And then R is for resourceful. With what is already in your hand. Survival mode says, I do not have enough. Builder mode says, what do I already have that I have not yet used, right? And then A is for ambitious. And be ambitious with your ceiling. Survivor ceilings are low because low feels safe. It's time to raise those ceilings. Announce it, right? Announce it to at least one witness so you cannot duck it later. And then I is for innovative. Innovation with your methods. The same moves that got you here will get you there. Innovate or plateau, right? Nimble with your plan, steady with your identity. The plan can change daily. The identity cannot. Locked in the identity and float the plan, right? And to my final bosses, you run this daily, weekly, quarterly. This is the operating system the builder boots up with, right? You're not surviving a week anymore. You are building the quarter, right? Now, listen. As we are getting ready to close, give me a couple more minutes, right? Give me a couple more minutes. And I'm going to close soon, right? Because give me another 10 minutes, right? Give me 10 minutes. Maybe not 10 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes. But listen, this is something I want you to understand, right? To my smarts, to my final bosses, to my motivators, to my warriors, right? You are the sovereign. And every week, every episode, everybody gets addressed. No one goes unaddressed. That's the protocol. That's the covenant. That's how I roll, right? That's how we roll. We're on this journey together, building the Final Boss podcast, Final Boss Nation, Final Boss community, Final Boss family, right? This is where it all goes down. Listen, episodes without assignments are just entertainment. And we don't do entertainment, not on Mondays. We do transformation. Here's your homework. 7 days, And you start when you stand up from the position you're in and finish this podcast. Day 1, starting tomorrow. Before your feet hit the floor, do a 4-count breath. 4 in, hold 4, 6 out. 4 cycles and be done. That is the day 1's anchor, right? Day 2, write 1 sentence on a notebook. The sentence is this: the thing my nervous system is still bracing against no longer exits. Sit with it for 5 minutes. Let your body hear it. No journaling, no analysis, just a sentence for 5 minutes. And then on day 3, make 1 phone call, a real phone call, voice, not text. Is somebody safe? Ask that question. 10 minutes minimum, no agenda. You are practicing being received without earning it, right? And then days there 4. 1 hour completely off. No phone, no task, nothing to do, right? Go walk, go sit, stare at a tree, whatever. Your nervous system needs to learn your neural that you're neutral and what it feels like. That is the repetition, right? Do that in repetition. And then there's day 5. Write down 3 things you are currently doing out of fear that you could do out of choice. Not vague stuff, specific. The exact relationship, the exact habit, the exact pattern. Circle the one you are going to and update that this month. 1 thing is plenty, right? And then there's day 6. Call 1 professional, a therapist, a coach, counselor, pastor. Make the appointment. You don't have to tell anybody, just make the appointment. If you already have one, confirm your next session. Support is not weakness. Support is how the builder builds. And then there's day 7. Come back next Monday on Motivation Monday with a note on what changed. Bring it into the comments, bring it into the community, bring it into the group and in the chat, right? 1 shift, 1 win, 1 honest report. If you do all 7 in a week, you would not be the same person at the end of the week that you were at the beginning. And that's not a promise. That's just mechanics. Your nervous system responds to repetition faster than you could think. 7 days of signal is enough to start the turn. You will feel completely different. No, honestly, you will feel different. Yes. Different enough to keep going. Different enough to know the work is real. Different enough to stop trying to talk your way out of it and start bodying your way through it, right? My smarts, you get the sentence. My final bosses, you get the quarterly upgrade. My motivators, you get the hour off. My warriors, you get the appointment. Everybody gets all 7. And don't tell me you don't have time for 7 days a week. You have had 20 years for survival and being in survival mode. Give the rebuild 7 days, and then 7 more, and then 7 more. That's how you change your life, right? And then next thing you know, you've changed your years, right? That is how the decade changes. That is how you change, right? Now, we are out of time. Thank you for joining us, right? We're not really out of time, but out of this hour. The rest of the work happens in your real life. And here's what I want you to take with you, right? And I want you to understand this and hear me out. Hear me out and hear me clear, right? The war is over, but nobody told your body. Tell your body tonight. Tell it with your breath. Tell it with your choices. Tell it with the people you call and the people you stop calling. Tell it with the bed you protect and the calendar that you hold, right? Tell it with the silence you sit in without grabbing the phone. Tell it every single day. Tell your body you believe you eventually will heal. Tell your nervous systems it's time to upgrade and update. Not overnight, but they need to be updated, right? Surviving was the test. Living is the assignment. Start turning in yesterday's homework. You were not built to spend your life on the floor of your own life. The floor was a waypoint, never the destination. The fire was supposed to refine you, not define you. The ashes were not an address. They were a starting line. You have permission to stop bracing. You have permission to build. You have permission to receive. You have permission to laugh without checking the essence. You have permission to love without the catch. You have permission to make money without the guilt. You have permission to rest without the guilt that comes with rest. You have permission to be the builder. The survivor survived this tour. Honorable discharge, full pension, ceremony, right? Everybody salutes. And then the next operator takes the wheel. That operator is you. Not a better you, not a different you. The you that was always underneath the scars waiting for the chance. Give yourself a chance. To my smarts, final bosses, motivators, warriors, I see you. I need you. I am building and we're on this journey together. And next Monday, same time, we do it again. Another Monday, another rep, another mile. Act 3 is the rebirth. Is operating, not performing. So go operate this week. Breathe, write, call, walk, audit, appointment, report back, right? I am the final boss. I am here. We are here. You are the sovereign. I'm your brother on the mic. And this has been episode number 222 of Motivation Mondays, season 4, act 3, right? Live every Monday. Live it, right? The fired up train, it rolls out. I need you to be on it or be out the way. I'll see you again next Monday. And by the way, I'll see you again tomorrow for Tech Tuesday with the Sensei, right? Season 4, Arc 3, episode number 223 with the Sensei. And if this episode resonates with you, go share it with at least 3 people. Don't gatekeep. And as always, there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but there is a heavy pain, an even heavier pain that comes with regret, right? Always remember, be balanced, be equal, and be smart. That is our show. Thank you for joining us. And as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I'll see you guys again tomorrow at 9 p.m. live for Tech Tuesdays. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. And let's continue to build together the Final Boss community, Final Boss Nation, Final Boss family. We're on this journey together. Let's keep building. Let's go.
It's 9 p.m. Monday night. While the rest of the world slows down, you're tuning in to the Final Boss podcast. This is Motivation Mondays, where mindsets shift, hustle gets honored, and the 6 pillars of success get broken all the way down. We're talking motivation, resilience, sacrifice, consistency, persistence, and perseverance. Hosted by the one and only Turbotheceo, bringing real talk, raw stories, and relentless energy to spark your week with purpose. So lock in, take notes, and remember, success ain't just a dream, it's a discipline.